You can meditate, read every sacred text, chase clarity and inner peace. Yet if you don't understand this one silent shift that happens after spiritual awakening, it can all fall apart. Have you ever had a moment of deep realization where everything made sense? Your heart cracked open and you felt more alive than ever, only to feel empty days later. You're not alone, and you're not broken. If you ignore this phase, your awakening could lead not to freedom, but instead to numbness, confusion, even burnout. And what's worse, most people never realize what's happening. In this video, you'll discover the hidden phase after awakening, why your motivation disappears, and how to rekindle a flame rooted in your soul, not your ego. This insight could save you from spiritual paralysis and guide you into your truest, most aligned self. Stay until the end, because the real transformation begins where most people stop. Today, we explore why this post-awakening lull isn't just common, it's vital. Over the next few minutes, you'll uncover why motivation vanishes after spiritual breakthroughs, what's unfolding beneath the surface, and how to navigate from emptiness to a deeper, more sustainable flame of purpose. This hidden phase might be the missing link in your journey, so keep watching. You're about to shift your entire understanding of spiritual growth. Spiritual awakenings happen when clarity bursts through like dawn after a long night. You recognize truths you couldn't see before about yourself, your life's purpose, even the nature of reality. That experience can feel like standing at the edge of a new world, ready to move mountains. That first wave fuels hope. You feel unstoppable. You make plans. I'll start that project, help others, transform my life. Your mental engine runs on pure inspiration. According to spiritual teachers, this is the momentum you ride forever, like a wave that never crashes. Yet, fast forward days or weeks and something shifts. The glow fades. You wake up feeling no eagerness. The projects gather dust. You struggle to make even small decisions. You might think, what happened? Why am I back to square one? This isn't laziness or failure. It's one of the most vital phases of awakening, yet it's rarely acknowledged. Many seekers skip straight from aha to action, and when the action lacks fire, they blame themselves. They assume they missed something or failed to commit. That sense of falling flat can be scary. Your old identity is deflating, and your nascent identity hasn't formed. You exist on a threshold where neither resonates. That space feels unstable or threatening. It's not a flaw. It's a sacred, slow unfolding, a gap that is the next step. Jung called this threshold space the sacred liminal, a time when the old self dissolves and the new self has not yet consolidated. He encouraged seekers to sit in that void, to allow the psyche to integrate and reorganize. He called this process individuation, where inner opposites, conscious and unconscious, light and dark, coalesce into a unified whole. Contrary to the glossy version of spiritual growth online, this phase is the absence of light, wisdom, and new habits. That absence is exactly the point. When light falls away, your inner structure becomes visible. Unconscious beliefs bubble up. Scraps of ego patterns linger in hidden corners. This time invites you to see and integrate them. Modern culture often overlooks this. We're trained to fix, to hustle, to take action. Silence feels unproductive. Waiting feels like failure. Turning inward feels purposeless. That's why so many skip ahead or zap the experience with busyness, avoiding the discomfort. Embrace this sacred liminal as a powerful gateway. Your psyche is remodeling its foundation. If you resist, you risk building a new life on a shaky foundation. This is sacred restructuring, worth every moment of discomfort. The unseen transition. Before any true transformation can occur, there comes a necessary dissolution. The motivation that once drove you, built on external validation, societal milestones, and the relentless need to prove yourself, begins to lose its power after awakening. This isn't an accident or a setback. It's the natural consequence of seeing through illusions. Where you once found drive in approval and achievement, you now see only empty mechanisms that no longer serve your growth. This transition period often feels unsettling because we mistake the absence of old motivations for a lack of direction. Yet this space is anything but empty, like the silence between musical notes that gives a melody its shape. This apparent void is where your authentic rhythm begins to emerge. The forest floor after a fire may look lifeless. However, beneath the surface, an entire ecosystem is reorganizing itself. New nutrients enter the soil, sunlight reaches previously shaded saplings, and the entire forest prepares for its next cycle of growth. What makes this phase challenging is our cultural conditioning that equates productivity with worth. We've been trained to view stillness as stagnation, when in truth, it's the foundation of all meaningful transformation. The ego's frantic energy must fade precisely so something deeper can take root. This is why traditional spiritual paths emphasize practices like meditation and contemplation, not as escapes from life, rather as ways to cultivate the patience required for genuine change. The purpose of the pause. This stillness you're experiencing serves multiple essential purposes in your awakening journey. First, it creates necessary distance from your old identity structures. The goals you once pursued with such intensity may now feel foreign because they belong to a version of yourself that's being gently dissolved. This isn't loss, it's liberation. Second, this pause allows for what psychologists call memory reconsolidation, the process by which our brain updates old emotional learnings. Every time you resist the urge to jump back into old patterns, you're literally rewiring your neural pathways. The river doesn't force its way through stone. Through persistent presence, it eventually carves canyons. Your transformation operates on similar principles. Third, and perhaps most importantly, this space cultivates discernment. When all the old motivations fall away, what remains? What whispers emerge from the quiet? These questions can't be answered through thinking. They require deep listening. Many spiritual traditions describe this as the voice of the soul, that subtle knowing that arises when we stop filling every moment with noise and activity. We're conditioned to move immediately from insight to action, skipping over the gestation period where true alignment forms. Yet all organic growth follows cycles. Periods of expansion naturally alternate with periods of consolidation. Why this moment matters? In this silent space, you're not simply waiting. You're shedding the skin of your conditioned ambitions. These weren't just goals you created. They were goals implanted in you. Family expectations, societal scripts, cultural metrics of success, and your old ego identity all shaped what you used to chase. Now, for the first time, you have a chance to ask, are these desires mine? Is this life truly aligned with who I am becoming, or just who I was expected to be? This void you're experiencing isn't a dead end. It's a blank canvas, one that demands patience, honesty, and courage. You're not failing to move forward. You're being stripped clean so your deeper, soul-aligned intentions can finally breathe. Picture a sculptor approaching a large block of marble. Before a masterpiece emerges, there is silence, there is stillness, there is restraint. The sculptor doesn't rush in wildly. They circle the block. They observe. They begin with light taps. What seems like loss reveals the true form, subtraction carving what addition could not. You're in that sacred chiseling process. It's quiet. It's invisible to the outside world. It might even feel like nothing's happening. And yet, this is when everything important starts to take form. This is not stagnation. This is gestation. Your nervous system is rewiring. Your internal compass is reorienting. Your identity is realigning, no longer conforming to the world's standards, now harmonizing with your soul's tone. In this phase, you're not meant to sprint. You're meant to sink into yourself. When you push too soon, you recycle old energies. You act from the echoes of the past rather than the truth of the present, and that creates resistance, not resilience. Resilience is born from rest, from letting go of the rush, from trusting that this inner pause is exactly what is needed before the next chapter can bloom with integrity. This moment isn't a detour, it's a rite of passage. A spiritual molting, a complete surrender of the false. If you can stay still, truly still, amidst the discomfort, something extraordinary begins to take root. What emerges from this soil won't be just new goals. It will be a new you, undeniably authentic, radically clear, and deeply aligned with a purpose that cannot be shaken by external tides. Stand still, root deeply. The full transformation is already unfolding, and you're not lost, you're becoming. How to approach this stage? Here are 3 elemental practices, tools to nurture this sacred interlude. 1. Witnessing presence. Observe your thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations, as if from a distance. Note without judgment and interventions. Practice this during daily tasks like walking, eating, or showering. Be the observer of your inner world. 2. Self-compassionate rest. No productivity goals. Just rest. Allow yourself 15 to 30 quiet minutes daily for meditation, gentle stretching, or simply being without an agenda. Validate your need for this pause. It's not hollow, it's fulfilled by unseen transformation. 3. Symbolic inquiry. Dreams, spontaneous images, intuitive hits. They all matter. Keep a journal by your bed. Even doodles count. Ask, what might this symbolize? Let images speak. Jung called symbols the language of the unconscious. These practices aren't tasks to master. They're lines of communication. They help psyche speak, and psyche needs to be heard before the new direction can blossom. The shift into soul-aligned flame. As unconscious energies begin to settle, something beautiful starts to stir within you. A quiet, consistent motivation that doesn't come from striving or fear. It's not loud or dramatic like your past drives. Instead, it's soft, subtle, yet strangely persistent. This new drive isn't fueled by pressure or the need to prove anything. It arises from connection, from clarity, from the parts of you that were buried under noise and expectations, now gently waking up. At first, it may appear in unassuming ways. You feel curious about something you hadn't noticed before. A book finds its way into your hands. A piece of music moves you unexpectedly. A quiet urge emerges to revisit an old hobby, not for productivity, simply for joy. You may feel drawn to nature, or to moments of silence where something deeper within begins to speak. This is your soul testing the waters. No stage, no script, just the quiet relief of being what you are. Unlike the ego's motivation, which thrives on urgency and comparison, this flame is unhurried. It doesn't chase timelines, it doesn't scream, it calls, and when you follow it, even in the smallest ways, it nourishes you in return. This soul-aligned motivation is inherently sustainable. It doesn't lead to exhaustion because it isn't about keeping up with anyone. It's about falling into rhythm with your inner truth. Instead of asking, what should I do to be seen or successful? You begin to ask, what feels honest? What feels alive inside me, even if no one else notices? This shift bypasses society's endless to-do lists. It sidesteps burnout. It moves you away from performance and into presence. The actions that stem from this inner place may not appear impressive on the surface. They may look simple or quiet, yet they carry depth and integrity. A single step taken from soul resonance carries more power than 1,000 steps taken in the name of ego. This is how real transformation begins, not with grand gestures, rather with deeply intentional choices. You may start saying no to things that once defined you. You may withdraw from circles that no longer match your frequency. You may even disappoint people who only knew your former self, and still, you'll feel more at peace than ever. This is when you realize motivation was never about being busy. It was about being aligned. That moment, when your drive stops seeking applause and starts seeking truth, is everything. That's when motivation becomes fertile. That's when it regenerates instead of depleting you. That's when you know you're living from essence, not from a script. This is your soul lighting a flame that doesn't burn you out. It warms you, it guides you, and it lasts. Distinguishing it from depression. This post-awakening numbness is often confused with depression. Here's how they differ. Depression often brings heaviness or despair. Your post-awakening void is lighter. It may feel flat, yet not broken. Depression impairs functioning. You struggle to wake up or connect. In this liminal space, you retain curiosity and willingness, even if action feels slow. With depression, self-talk spirals. Here, you notice a neutral presence. There's awareness rather than collapse. If you suspect depression, persistent sadness, isolation, loss of bodily regulation, explore professional help. That care matters deeply. This sacred void is different. It's soul-led, not self-led. It's a hushed transformation, not a collapse of hope. Common missteps. Here are common pitfalls: rushing into new projects to fill the void, reactivating old ego habits, chasing new gurus hoping to spark motivation, often draining inner trust or intuition, rebranding old patterns under spiritual labels. For example, driving yourself hard under the name of service or manifestation. These oversights can disconnect you from your authentic self. The real transformation demands honesty, patience, and inner listening. Your inner transformation. Toolkit. Let's enhance your toolkit. 3 expanded practices. Daily stillness practice. Commit to at least 10 to 20 minutes daily. If your mind resists stillness, shift into gentle walking meditation or nature sitting. The aim is to habituate receptivity rather than productivity. Dream accounting. Write down any dream details, even fragments or feelings. After writing, ask, what could this symbol mean for me? Track recurring themes. They're signposts of integration. Symbol-based creativity. Set aside time to paint, write, or play an instrument without goals. Let symbols emerge. Colors, shapes, rhythms. Digest these in stillness afterward. Observe inner textures and intuitions. These serve as invitations, not tasks. Over time, they rebuild inner vision while the conscious mind can relax. Signs of emerging motivation. As you begin to move through the stillness of the sacred void, new motivation doesn't arrive with a bang. It arrives with whispers. You won't be jolted into action. You'll be invited, gently, quietly, consistently. So how do you recognize when your soul is beginning to speak again? Stay attuned to these subtle yet powerful signals. Persistent curiosity. Notice if a certain idea, question, or theme keeps resurfacing, almost like it's orbiting your awareness. The absence of urgency doesn't mean absence altogether. Maybe you keep thinking about a specific subject, a place you feel drawn to, or a conversation that left a quiet impact. This is the soul's way of tugging at you gently, saying, "Look here, something is waiting for you." This kind of curiosity doesn't demand resolution. It asks for exploration. Don't rush to solve it. Let it unfold. Ease-filled urges. Unlike the pressure-driven hustle of the past, soul-aligned motivation often shows up as a calm invitation. You might find yourself spending a few hours on a small project without even noticing the time pass. There's no struggle, no need to prove. Just flow. This might mean writing without editing, organizing something without overthinking, or simply engaging in a task for the joy of doing it, not the result. These are not distractions. They are breadcrumbs leading you back to your natural rhythm. Dream nudges and symbolic echoes. Pay close attention to dreams, symbols, or sudden mental images. These impressions may lack surface rationality while holding profound psychological truth. You might see recurring animals, landscapes, or strangely vivid moments in your sleep. Or perhaps during waking hours, a phrase or image repeats through books, signs, or conversations. These are not coincidences. Carl Jung called them archetypal symbols, forms through which the unconscious reveals new guidance. Journal them, reflect on them. These are the soul's early language. Moments of deep alignment. Think of times when you lose track of time, not in distraction, rather in full presence. You might feel immersed in a conversation, a creative act, or even a simple walk. These moments don't just feel good, they feel right. Something inside clicks. You feel like you're doing what you're meant to, even if it seems small or unnoticed. This is a flow rooted in authenticity. When you catch these moments, pause. Let yourself feel them fully. They're anchors in your emerging path. Emotional softening. This one is often overlooked. You might notice your internal resistance softening. That's motivation too. You're no longer dragging yourself through days, even if you're not quite soaring yet. There's less self-judgment, more spaciousness. This shift might come with a sense of relief or lightness. Your nervous system beginning to trust that movement doesn't require force anymore. A sense of being drawn rather than driven. Unlike ego-driven urgency, soul-aligned motivation feels magnetic. Instead of pushing, you feel pulled toward people, ideas, places, or even stillness. There's an energy behind it. Quiet, not loud. It's gentle, like a breeze guiding you towards something meaningful. This emerging motivation won't come with a checklist or alarm bell. It won't demand your attention. It will invite it. You won't feel frantic or behind. You'll feel seen and subtly, powerfully called. If these signs resonate with you, if you felt even a few of them stirring quietly in your life, you're already on the path back to soulful, sustainable motivation. And if you're finding this deep dive helpful, maybe you know someone else who's navigating this same quiet space. A small gesture, liking or sharing this video, might help them recognize they're not lost, just in transition. If you're new here and want more grounded, honest conversations about awakening, healing, and becoming, feel free to subscribe. This space is for seekers like you, walking gently yet deeply toward truth, bringing the pieces together. Let's weave this together. You felt awakened, your old drive dissolved. That loss triggered the sacred liminal, a time of inner restructuring. The emptiness wasn't failure. It was fertile recalibration. Deep seeing, compassionate rest, and symbol-based practices allowed the psyche to reorder. A new flame from soul, not ego, emerged gently, calling you forward. Now you stand along a quiet ridge. No rush, only rightness. This emerging way feeds as it forms. Jung emphasized that individuation, the emergence of one's wholeness, is seldom pleasant. Without surrendering, true transformation cannot unfold. He described it as a necessary dying to the known self. The sacred liminal you're in is precisely that space of death and rebirth. You're actively birthing your authentic self. Lean into this limbo. You're not delaying, you're becoming. Vision of soul-powered flame. Picture your new flame. It's constant, a steady ember glowing in your chest. It drives action that aligns with your essence: compassion, creativity, service. It's quieter than adrenaline-fed ambition, yet more robust over time. It needs less fanfare. Its power lies in its roots. Honor this vision. It will carry you through the in-between into meaningful life work. Maybe today you're feeling flat, directionless, or uncertain after your awakening. Know this: you stand within a sacred threshold of transformation. Your meaning isn't lost, it's evolving beneath the surface. Remain present, remain still, tend to your inner world. Trust the psyche's timing. Rest and symbolic listening matter now more than ever. The transformation is actively brewing beneath your awareness. Gradually, you'll hear a soft, "Come this way," from within. Then, you'll step forward, not from pressure, but rather from resonance. Gratitude for walking this deep path with me today. If these insights touched something in you, share them or leave a comment. Your reflections may illuminate another's path. Stay open to the silence and the pause. That which seems empty today is birthing the next version of you. If this resonates, you're welcome to stay with this community. Subscribe if you'd like more explorations into spiritual awareness, psyche, and authentic living. Until then, may your emptiness be fertile, your rest transformative, and your awakening ever deepening.